Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of A Note to the Wise podcast. We are joined here today by Nathaniel Hine.
Hello, everyone.
The one and only. And Lewis. Hi, guys.
Nice introduction to yourself there.
Can't believe we've got such an incredible voice actor to
do
the
him.
intro for us. How are you doing now?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, man. All good. All good over here.
We've made it to episode 3.
Yeah, going strong.
Somehow we've made it.
We've had a few really popular episodes.
Yeah, I think it's gone alright so far. I
think so.
I think like when you look at downloads or your view history and you compare it to big people, you go, well, it's with nothing compared.
Well, I mean, we're pretty close.
Yeah, well, and then when you think about we've only been out now for 2 weeks, it's literally not. Yeah. You expect to get nothing when you've just started from nothing.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would have been happy with just like 20, 30 views. So what we have, I'm pretty stoked about.
Like at this point, episode 1 on YouTube has like 140 views, and like episode 2 has like
you better believe
40.
It's viral.
And like we've been like, when you look at the stats, we've been downloaded, all across the UK, even in places where we don't have like friends who might listen to it. And I look at it and I go, I literally know no one in Darlington or Chelsea.
Yeah,
so who the hell is listening to this? Like, fair play. And I think ever since we've got, it took us a week or so to get on Apple. And ever since we got on Apple, it's been a lot broader. It's a lot easier because it's the most popular one.
We've had paparazzi outside our houses.
It's been too much for everyone.
It's really hard to deal with. But it's been really good. We've had a couple reviews, haven't we?
Yeah, it's gone quite well. It's gone quite positive.
My mother is my biggest fan.
She's both our biggest fans, thank God. But I've really enjoyed it, and we have incredibly busy work schedules between ourselves, so we have to get together and do a couple or 3 or 4 at a time. And,
I was going to say,
and we end up kind of like either losing track of where we are, and then what we end up releasing, it might be a week or 2 late. But that's what we have to do at the moment.
So today it's actually been a period of time before the last episodes were recorded, because we did 2 to start with. I'm just thinking. So yesterday, Nat spoke to me and he was like, because he's doing all the editing for these videos, and he said to me, just so you know, you say a lot. So when I'm speaking and I'm saying it's
trying his hardest not to say it. Like,
yeah, so it's been a couple of weeks since them episodes have come out, so I've had time to digest, listen back to them episodes and improve upon them, and think about in different aspects of what could be better. Like, I didn't like how in them first 2 episodes I said to Nat it sounded like I had a bucket on my head, and I'm saying again, so there you go.
That's it though. Like, I sit and listen to these back when I edit them, and you start thinking about, wow, I can't believe we do this or we do that, and I can't believe how it sounds. So every episode so far, probably to someone who's listened to them all, has sounded different. Listen to the first one, released it as it is. Listen to it back, I thought it was too quiet. Second one, I increased the volume stature on it. Listen to it on the same volume the next episode, and it nearly blew my ears off. And then you think, we need to get some consistency, but we need to know how to get there, because when you listen to it at normal volume, we both don't sound like we're here and next to the mic. So we tried change it. So we've tried new settings again today, so we'll see how it goes.
And my lips are on top of the mic now, so
he's eating the mic.
Nom nom nom.
So we just have to just see where we go from that.
Yeah.
We'll jump straight into it.
Let's go. Godzilla
vs. Kong at this point has been out from the recording episode 2 days.
Did it come out on?
It came out April the 1st.
Thursday?
April the 1st, 3 days ago.
3 days.
Came out.
Yeah.
I didn't really want to watch it.
We bought it so you didn't have to.
Yeah. We've done this review to save your time and money.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't really want to see it because I've never really been a fan of the whole Godzilla and Kong franchise as such. I watched not the original Kong from like the early 1900s, but I watched the Peter Jackson's King Kong, and that's about as much as I've watched. I never watched any of the Godzillas. I never watched Kong Skull Island. But
did you not see the one with Bryan Cranston?
No, I didn't see anything like that.
That was Godzilla.
Was that a Godzilla? Yeah, I didn't watch anything like that. And just because them kind of mythical creatures or beasts have never really interested me. But there was a big hype on the internet about Godzilla vs. Kong. It was 2 titans meeting. It's like I don't really watch a lot of Simpsons, and I don't really watch a lot of Family Guy. But when the Simpsons and Family Guy episode came out,
you better believe
I had to watch it. It was it's something new in the time scale of like TV and film history that you must watch.
Absolutely.
So, and anything with a crossover, I kind of do enjoy that mixture of. Because it's quite good how they try things. So I thought we must get Godzilla vs. Kong.
I mean, this isn't the first Godzilla vs. King Kong.
No.
I mean, obviously these films have been going back for
for a long, long time.
Decades.
Yeah.
There you go again. So,
don't think about the ends. You can't help it.
God damn it! So yeah, I've always been interested in King Kong and Godzilla. So I was going to watch this film eventually. I wouldn't necessarily have paid for it, but now we have a podcast. So
yeah, it kind of like if you want to talk about something that's more relevant and comes out now, you have to pay the price for it. As much as you don't want to see it,
we paid the price.
I mean, yeah, we could have waited 6 months and waited for it till it was on something like Amazon Prime and watched it for free. But then when we talk about it, it kind of means nothing to anybody.
Yeah.
So we're going to try and make it as relatively spoiler-free as we can, but then you can't really talk about something without actually talking about what happens in it. So there will be spoilers, as always, in our podcasts. So, spoiler alert.
We'll keep the
beginning
bit. Beginning bit will remain relatively spoiler-free.
Yeah.
And then from then on,
kind of just
maybe
into it.
Leak in some spoilers and actually talk about how we thought about it. But
what did you think overall? Just give the rating now, and then we'll talk about it.
Here's my little review on it. I thought it was good. It was good.
Yes.
I have a lot of issues with it. I think when you're going into Godzilla versus King Kong film, what are you expecting to watch?
Godzilla versus King Kong.
Godzilla versus King Kong.
Didn't really have much of that.
Didn't have loads of it compared to the Godzilla film with Bryan Cranston I saw. There was a lot more fighting in this one. The things I didn't like in King Kong and Godzilla was the human aspect of it and going into all these stories with these side characters, Millie Bobby Brown's in it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she did okay, as an actress, but as a character, pretty much irrelevant. And I asked you the question, do you remember anyone's name from that film?
No.
I watched this last night and I don't remember a single person's name. And that shows how irrelevant these people are.
Yeah.
So I think the film would have benefited from removing these humans and exploring more of King Kong versus Godzilla. The only problem with that, and I don't know what you think, is if you did just have a film about Kong and Godzilla, obviously there's going to be no speaking in there because these big creatures don't talk. Can you have a film that tells a story without much dialogue? Do you need the human element to drive a narrative?
Well, I'll see your comment there and I'll raise you WALL-E. Because WALL-E has no speaking in it until really close to the end.
Yeah, and I was trying to think.
And I think WALL-E is a top-notch Disney film, and I'd say it's not up there in my top 5 Disney films, but it's something that people enjoy and people could watch repetitively. And yes, I get the fact that if it wasn't the main issue with these side stories of these human characters is they were trying to tell a certain story about how we got to what the big fight at the end, and I get it, but it kind of took it away as being a Godzilla versus King Kong film and more became behind the background of it.
Absolutely.
Which, if you're making a side series about this film franchise, they're perfect to have this little side story, but having it, I'm trying to fit it all into 1 hour and 45 minutes or whatever it was, it just kind of took it all away, and you're jumping from human bit to human bit to human bit, and then you see a bit of Godzilla and King Kong, and then back to human and human. And if you think about it, there is a Godzilla and King Kong fight, just them two one-on-one early doors in the film. Yes. But it's 8 to 10 minutes worth of TV or film, and then it stops. And then you don't see them two really connect again until the end. And that end scene is only 10 to 15 minutes. So when you've got an hour and 40 of Godzilla versus King Kong, and you see the two together on the screen for 25 minutes, you've got to understand that an hour and 20 of it is literally human interaction.
Yeah.
Which I just thought, I kept remember thinking during the film, as much as I did enjoy it, and I'd probably give it overall a 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
When are we getting to Godzilla and King Kong? That's all I kept thinking.
That's the only thing you're waiting for.
Yeah. It's in the title.
Yeah, these characters come on screen and you're like, just come on, move along, I don't want to see you. And the fights themselves, they were awesome. You know, all this destruction, the buildings. It's obviously not going to be a spoiler, but when all that was going on, there's obviously something that happens at the end that I won't talk about right now.
Yeah.
But when all them fight scenes were happening, I'm thinking like, yes,
yeah,
you know, this is what we want to see.
This is what we want to see. Exactly. Yeah.
And then we'll cut to Millie Bobby Brown. You know,
sat at a computer.
Yeah.
And you're like, and you're watching it for like 20 seconds type, and you think,
yeah,
this is not exactly what I expected.
No, and that's what the last Godzilla film suffered from, even more so than this one, because just as the fighting, it followed all the human characters, and then it would start, a fight scene would start between Godzilla and, actually can't remember who the other person who Godzilla was fighting, some monster. But when the fight scene was about to start...
It was that three-headed thing that they used in the film.
What was it?
For the mind.
Oh, right.
I think it was that beast.
Okay.
It had the 3 skulls.
Yeah.
I think it was that.
That was powering the thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So when the fight scenes was just about to start, the camera would like slowly cut away. I thought, there was one point you saw the fight happening, and then literally as they were about to collide, some doors ended up closing on you.
Yeah.
And then the screen went to black, and you're like, what's going on? Where's the fight? And then it like cut away, and it just
you were somewhere else for like 15 minutes.
It cut the whole fight out.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, just so you know, this is happening. Back to the humans.
Yeah.
So that film really did suffer, and it got slated for it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
So there was more of that in this film. More fighting, which is good. But like you were saying with Wall-E and lack of speaking, I was trying to think of other films that didn't necessarily involve a lot of talking. And to be fair, the only thing I could think of was like
silent movies.
Wallace and Gromit.
There's talking in there.
But Wallace talks.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, well, the films, there's quite a bit of speaking with Curse of the Were-Rabbit and things like that. And then I was thinking, obviously because I watch a lot of kids shows these days, Shaun the Sheep. There's no talking in them.
Yeah, well, back in the days, there was no talking in Pingu. Pingu now talks, but there was no talking in Pingu. It was just wah, wah. That was it. Yeah, exactly, that was it.
Yeah, fair point.
But like,
so, I think they need to explore a film that is purely just about the monsters.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I mean, if you want to avoid any kind of spoilers, I'd probably skip like 3 minutes ahead, because there's something I really want to say that really annoyed me.
Go for it.
Well, there's a couple of things that really annoyed me. First of all, you look at the idea of King Kong versus Godzilla, and you think, King Kong's got no chance. Relatively. When you see Godzilla and what he can do.
Oh yeah, I was going to say to you.
You think, like, if you were to ask me before I watched the film, who's going to win that fight?
What team are you in?
Well, I'm Team King Kong.
Yeah.
Overall.
But then
I also think King Kong has no chance against something like Godzilla.
I also agree.
I like an underdog, but in this instance, sounds like it's ridiculous. But also, at the start of the film, you see the size of King Kong in comparison to the bubble he's living in.
Yes.
And he's not that big. But all of a sudden, you get 20 minutes later, and he's the exact same size as Godzilla.
Yep.
And I was like, that wasn't the size of him before. Yes, they say at the beginning of the film he's growing at a substantial rate, but no one grows that fast. Not even King Kong in this instance.
Mm-hmm.
King Kong is losing the entire film. He nearly loses the first battle.
Which understandable, because it's in Godzilla's element.
Yeah, no, but but even in the second fight, he loses that fight. What saves his life is a giant heart monitor.
Oh, that was the third fight. Well, I mean, okay, so
the first fight's in the water, the second fight's in China.
It's more like a continued.
It's like a continued fight, but King Kong is losing that fight throughout.
Yeah,
and he doesn't win against Godzilla. They just make a truce. There's no battle.
Yeah.
And the one thing that the real winner of this film is Costa Coffee, because of. or Jack Daniels, shout out to Jack Daniels, you won the film, because ultimately
that's the thing that annoyed me the most.
Is we've watched an hour and 35 minutes of film.
Yeah.
We've seen 2 fights that have both been aesthetically pleasing. We've come out of both fights saying, that's what we wanted to see. We might not got the result we wanted. I wanted King Kong to win. Didn't really win the first fight. Gets the second fight. King Kong gets his heart restarted or whatever. And then it gets this big 2-on-1 fight. And then it just turns out a bottle of whiskey wins. Can kill...
Did you say Jack Daniels?
Yeah, I don't know what it
Sponsored
was.
by Jack Daniels.
# not sponsored. Or no copyright either.
Yeah.
But...
It's like classic movie trope is spilling liquid on a computer console, just fries the system, and then all the security opens and all shuts down. And that's not how things work.
Yeah.
And plus, at that point, so the thing is Mechagodzilla as well, by the way.
As soon as I said Mecha Godzilla, I could only think of Mecha Barbra Streisand from South Park, and it was in the South Park episode where Mecha Barbra Streisand comes in. There's that little like Japanese man who's like singing all the time, and I was just like, I'm waiting for him to come out and go.
And there was actually a Japanese man inside.
Well, there was, yeah.
Mecha Godzilla.
Yeah, but that's all I could think of. That has no relation to this, but when I saw it, I laughed. Like Carly was like, "Why are you laughing?" I was like, "This doesn't matter because it's just ridiculous."
Barbra Streisand.
Yeah, like she won't know who Mecha Barbra Streisand is.
Yeah, so but I think the thing that annoyed me as well is because at that point when he spills the liquid on the console, that console isn't like linked to Mecha Godzilla at that point.
The Mecha Godzilla is linked to the helmet, isn't it?
The skull thing.
Yeah.
But the computer no longer controls him. He's gone rogue.
Yeah. So realistically, the only way to destroy him is by destroying him. Yeah,
the body itself. So yeah, that whole thing was just really tragic. I saw it and my eyes were just rolling.
It's like you've got a Nintendo Switch. You unplug it from the charger and you play it. Yeah.
Yes.
I destroy the charger, and then all of a sudden the console doesn't work. That's not how it works. It's on its own right now. That's the point.
And how did them guys get into was it Apex? Apex is the big bad corporation.
Well, they fell on a train.
It's like the worst security I've ever seen in my life.
But this is it. So they're in a train carriage, and inside it's loads of like eggs. But we don't see them.
Happy Easter.
Yeah, Happy Easter, everyone. But we don't see the eggs after that. You just think, what was the point of... They could have been in there with, I don't know, John Travolta. Like, it doesn't make sense because they didn't use them in their film.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of flaws to the film.
Maybe it's something that's going to be for another film, maybe a sequel, who knows. But like I said, at the end, they made a truce. I don't know if it was... Was it a truce?
It was yeah, I think it
King
was.
King Kong drops his axe.
I think
was that Godzilla going, dropping goddamn axe, boy?
I mean, King Kong had nothing, and then all of a sudden it became Thor towards the end, and it was completely ridiculous. I was like, well, he needed something, I understand it, but they kind of do a truce. Godzilla's basically like, I'll take care of the surface, you take care of Hollow Earth, and that's how it kind of like ends. Happily ever after, the usual stuff. Yeah. Another thing that kind of grinded my gears was...
What really grinds your gears?
You see monkeys in general in real life and apes, and you watch any ape film. So George, is that the name of the film? George with
George of the Jungle.
No, with the
Curious
Rock.
George?
The Rock and the monkey. Oh, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger exponentially because it has this like gas.
What's that called now? It's not called George.
No, but the monkey's called George. But we'll stick with that. So you know that from films, and if you know anything about monkeys, they will try communicate using sign language.
Yes.
All monkeys, they'll try to teach the apes sign language because they can't speak.
Because they can't talk, yeah.
But then in the film, when King Kong understands sign language and starts using it, everyone's bewildered and say, I can't believe it. How did no one not know this? Look at any other monkey. They know it. Like, I just thought, you scientists, you've been working on this beast for years. Have you not noticed that he knows how to say thank you? Or like, home. Yeah. Like...
That's now currently doing.
I'm doing the sign language. You can't see this, but you might be able to hear the rustle of my beard as I do it. I think I've said mine. Overall, a 6.
Yeah, I would give it a 6.5. I did enjoy it. I wouldn't see it again. I wouldn't recommend anyone to pay for it. If it comes out for free on all these other platforms, sure, give it a watch.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't rush out and pay for the film.
So if they did a King Kong versus Godzilla 2, what would you do?
Well...
Take the fact that we'd probably have to watch it for the podcast. You hear about it. What do you think?
I'm not as... It depends what the trailer's showing me, I suppose. From this film, I wouldn't be as hyped. I wasn't necessarily hyped about this film, to be fair.
No, I agree.
But I really wanted to watch it at some point. But if they continue to go and do the same things they did in this film and the other previous Godzillas and things like that, when it's not necessarily just about Godzilla and King Kong or whoever else, if they continue to do that, yeah, my interest is pretty much gone at this point. If they change things up and actually listen to the fans and give them what they want, then yeah, I'm on board. I'll be excited, but who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, I think we've covered it quite well, and I'd probably have to agree with all what you've said.
Yeah, give it a miss.
Save your money, like genuinely save your money.
Yeah.
So, in episode 1 of the podcast, we spoke a lot about like the Marvel section and like where we are now, where we're going to.
We spoke a lot about Marvel.
We did speak a lot about Marvel.
We had a lot of feedback about that too.
In the 2 weeks since then, since we've got to this point of recording, a lot has happened. We've got to halfway through Falcon and Winter Soldier. They've finally given us a release date for the Black Widow movie, and they've also finally released the poster for the Loki TV show. The date for the Loki TV show was already released prior to what we said, so that's coming out 2 weeks after the end of Winter Soldier. So it's going to be very much the same tune of what WandaVision did. Show a season, you give it a week, they do the behind the scenes episode, then the new season starts a week after. Stop. Behind the scenes of Falcon and Winter Soldier. Go into Loki. So that's quite a lot involved in the last 2 weeks. Like Marvel does, you don't really get a day off from it.
Nope.
So Falcon and Winter Soldier, we're now at this point of recording. This will come out on the day that episode 4 is released, but we've seen now episode 3, which is officially halfway through the series. Episode 1, we talked about it. You know, we had different opinions on it. I thought it was a good episode. I thought it set the scene well. You agreed in a sense, but thought we hadn't. You know, when you know you're working with 6 47-minute episodes, we hadn't got to where we got to. And it's not even 47 minutes when you think about it, because I know I made a joke about it. There is a lot of credits, because I watched the end of 3 and the credits started and I clicked pause on the remote and it was like 40 minutes and 30 seconds and there was 7 minutes of credits. And like every time I watch a Marvel thing, I watch it through and hope something is at the end, and nothing is in the TV series as we've seen so far.
Yeah, I fast forward.
But, you know, I don't risk losing anything, especially with that. Yeah. So, overall, how are you finding Falcon Winter Soldier now compared to what you thought first? So at the beginning I said I thought the first episode was like a 7 or 8 and you gave it like a 6.
Yeah.
As it's gone on, do you think the rating's improved?
I think it's getting a lot better, actually.
Do you think it's getting to where you want it to be, or what you envisioned it to be like?
At this stage, yes. But what makes me worry is the fact that there is just 3 episodes. 3 episodes left?
Yep.
3 episodes left. It's a lot to wrap up, especially when I feel like it's just getting started. So I feel like I'm going to be disappointed in the end just because it's not going to be long enough. I like to enjoy these series and really, you know, delve into them deep and real deep. But so I think at the moment it is where I want it to be. Falcon and Winter Soldier are now together. They've met up. I don't know how in detail do you want to go into these episodes?
No, I mean just you to say what you want.
Yeah, so they've now met up. I think the chemistry they've got between them is brilliant.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I completely agree. I think that you can tell that, I know I said this before, is you can tell that they are friends off camera because they make it work so well.
Yeah, they do.
And I think to where we are right now is, I'm glad I can't remember her name now, but Peggy's niece. Peggy's niece. Yeah, having her back in.
Whatever she is.
Good. I like that. It was very much...
She was...
badass.
She was fucking awesome.
Yeah, she was. She was incredible to watch.
Yeah.
And it's good to see that her character's gone the opposite way to what you expect. So you've got an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. who has now relatively become pretty much a badass because she's been led this way because she feels neglected by the Avengers and Sam in particular, which I get. I understand that and I get to where she is.
Absolutely.
I like her character portrayal. I hope we see more of her. But they've done the exact same thing with WandaVision. What they've done here is, and the same with the enemy. Well, not the enemy. The anti-hero now who's on their side.
Yes.
I forget his name. Velvet Mask, I'll call him. But
Zemo,
thank you, yeah. Like,
Velvet
WandaVision didn't let you forget certain side characters.
No.
They brought back these, and everyone goes, oh, I know them.
Yeah,
Good to see them. And they've done this here. They didn't hire, a new agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. to help them in, this area. They didn't hire... They didn't fabricate a new bad guy that they wanted to bring on their side and create a completely new backstory quickly. Like, oh, I met him once. We had to lock him up and now he's on our side. They brought people back that people recognise, people know.
Is he the bad guy?
Well, he's the anti-hero now.
Because his motivations in the Civil War?
Yeah.
Civil War.
Civil War, that's him.
He was getting revenge on...
The soldiers, the super soldiers. He kills them all in like this womb, doesn't he? Like everyone thinks he's going to release them, and it turns out like he's dead against them. So he kills them and at the end he's about to shoot himself because his mission's over. And Black Panther,
his wife that died in Sokovia
into the hands of these super soldiers and what happens. and he wants to get revenge by killing the other super soldiers. They can't live.
Yeah, so
And at the end, he's about to kill himself, and Black Panther's like, no, talks him down, and he gets arrested, and this is where he is now. And this is, well,
I don't know if he necessarily. I think he blocks the bullet and strangles him.
well, yeah, he,
talks him down.
talks him down by apprehending him in a physical fashion, which some people like.
Yeah,
Hi, Carly. But
why did you talk her down last night?
Oh God. But I see that and I think I'm where we want to be now. You go in the episode order. I gave the first one. I'll go back and say the first one gets a 7.5. Second one gets an 8 because they're finally together. There's a fight scene, on the motorway or the highway, and then it gets where we are now. And I gave, the halfway point of the season a 9, and I'm sticking to that because I'm worried in a sense this might be we've hit the pinnacle.
Yeah,
but then I'm also expecting it. We don't know much more. We've still got this other fight between, the ginger girl, Carly, and, these band of super soldiers against Falcon, the Winter Soldier, and whoever else comes a part of it. So I feel like that is still to come.
I think there's going to be... something's going to happen with our new Captain America. I don't necessarily think that going forward he will just be the new Captain America.
No.
I think there's going to be a change in him somewhere. I think one of the great things is that after that first episode, when we was revealed that there was a new Captain America, I was sat there thinking, those bastards, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But actually, on the second episode, they went into what's his name?
John Walker.
John Walker. That's the most American name I've ever heard in my life. Went into his backstory, and you know what? He's actually a pretty good, nice.
He's done a lot.
Relatable.
He's not a super soldier.
He's a good person.
Yeah, he is. He has.
So he was a lot more likable when they went into his backstory. Was he got like 3 Medal of Honors or something like that?
I mean, when I picture a Captain America, I don't just picture the one that Chris Evans plays, but when your Captain America is meant to be a superhero. In a sense, like the original Captain America that we know, he's injected with this serum and he becomes like a bit, John Walker is just an army man.
He's just a man.
Yeah. He doesn't have any of these...
Which makes me wonder because they did like a little training montage of him throwing that shield and...
Yeah, and he was incredible.
He looks pretty superhuman.
But he's not. But he's not. But yeah. So it makes more sense to me if we'd have gone down the comic book route and Bucky had become...
I still think that's...
And I think that's going to happen.
Table,
I think that's still going to happen. I don't think that John Walker is going to be the Captain America in the next set of Avenger films. No, I don't.
Because you're starting to see... You went into his backstory, you thought, this is actually a really nice guy. He's doing his bit for his country, the planet, whatever. But now we're seeing like little cracks in his personality when he's not all...
He wants to make it all about him.
Yeah, there's a point when he's like, don't you know who I am?
Yeah.
That's not very Captain America-like of you. You know what I mean?
And Captain America didn't start fights.
No, he didn't.
And this guy seems to always want to have a fight. He wants to cause something.
Yeah. I think he's going to his head.
I think we'll end up reviewing it as a whole at the end, but my prediction is he'll probably die.
I think
in this
die,
TV show.
And I hope Bucky takes up the mantle.
Yeah.
I think it probably will be. Saying that,
well, is it going to be Falcon?
Is it going to be Falcon? Is he going to be flying around with a shield?
I mean, that'd be quite cool.
Maybe.
For me, I just hope it's one of the two and it's not John Walker. And I also hope at the ending of episode 6, we see a very, another Nick Fury type thing. You need it again. And this isn't going to be the end of Falcon and Winter Soldier. Because I still think these two characters, after seeing more of them, they are still wasted and we need more of them in the future MCU things.
Yeah.
I don't think now we should be focusing on going to the next setup. However, the episode 2 where they met the other super soldier, and it turns out Bucky and him had been fighting, they'd gone to the estate, and they met him. The kid in there, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't read the comics, he is like a future Avenger, that kid. I can't remember his name, but the two sons of Wanda and Vision and him joined together in the comics.
I didn't know that.
So we could be looking at, I'm talking 10, 15 years down the line.
Together.
It all might make sense, yeah, exactly. Like these kind of like mini Avengers.
Yeah.
So when we finished, in between all this...
Also,
okay,
I would just say, you sent me a photo of, the actor.
Oh, yes.
I thought we might want to just mention.
Oh, yeah, maybe it is worth mentioning, yeah.
It was Kurt Russell, isn't it? Kurt?
I can't remember his full name. Kurt.
The actor who plays
John Walker.
Starring as Captain America. Been getting a lot of death threats, right?
Mm-hmm.
Been getting a lot of death threats for just the fact that he is now
the new Captain America.
Which is completely ridiculous. People need to separate the fact that this
TV
is just
reality.
a television show. He's a person. He has feelings.
I completely agree. He had deleted
off.
all social media because he was getting all his death threats, and I'm linking it back to Josh McDermott, who plays Eugene in The Walking Dead. When he in the show betrays Rick and the gang and joins Negan, the actor had to delete all his social media, and it still is now. He's not on social media now for nearly 3 years. But he got death threats from saying, "Why the hell are you joining Negan? You're a horrible human being." Getting abuse shouted at him in the streets and things like that. And if you ever watch The Talking Dead with Chris Hardwick, he always starts every episode with, "Walking Dead, it isn't a documentary. It's a TV show. Please
which he shouldn't have to do.
Yeah, you shouldn't be in a situation where you have to tell someone,
exactly,
these things aren't real.
Yeah.
There isn't someone who flies around in the sky called Falcon. There isn't a superhuman Captain America. There isn't. Please get that out of your head that this exists." And yeah, you're right to point out that it's a no-go. And if I don't like the new Captain America, I don't agree with it, and I don't wish it was him. However, it makes good talking points, and it makes a good TV show.
It reminds me of Joffrey, Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
because that actor also
got loads of difference.
A hell of a lot of shit, for the character that he played, which was a brilliant character. Because if you hate the character, you're doing your job right. The actor is doing something right.
Exactly. So shout out to him for doing his job right.
I actually don't think he acts anymore.
No,
I think he gave it up.
Yeah,
which is a shame.
Which is a shame because he could have had a long, lustrous career.
Being hated by everyone.
It's only a dream.
Yeah. Anyway.
We go from Black Widow... we go from Falcon Winter Soldier into Black Widow. So, in the last 2 weeks, they released the movie poster and finally released a date. July the 9th. It's going to be available on Disney+.
It's a good poster.
They haven't said yet if it's going to be you pay to watch, like they did with Mulan, etc., or it's going to be just free on Disney Plus to watch. I think you're going to have to pay for it, if I'm honest.
Well, at the end of the trailer, it does mention that you can experience it in theatres or on Disney
Plus.
So I imagine you will have to
pay for it. Makes sense. If not, people will still watching it for free. I think
they'll be releasing it on, in both places at the same time. July 9th.
July 9th, yeah. I think the most surprising thing about July 9th is that's the same day an episode of Loki is due to be released. So
I thought he was going to say it's 3 days after my birthday.
No. Well, it is. Okay. Well, it is 3 days. It is.
Anyway.
Thanks for dropping that hint of when your birthday is. I am aware.
Thank you.
But it is the same day as an episode of Loki, which I thought Marvel wouldn't have done because there's a lot in one go and people will either have to not pick between the two, but if you want to keep up to date, you have to pick between the two or watch both. I get it. Yeah. I mean, I watched... We were quite limited with time, but I watched Godzilla and then Falcon episode 3 back to back, and all of a sudden you've spent 3 hours nearly divulging into telly, which is quite a lot.
Absolutely.
The film itself is probably going to be around the 2-hour mark again, and then you've got a Loki episode, which will probably be 47 minutes again. So it's a lot in one day. I mean, Marvel has now a set schedule. They've already been delayed with the pandemic. They need to get it all out before the end of the year.
It's
been delayed for like a year.
Maybe even more than a year.
So they've really needed to fit this in somewhere, and they've had to just throw it in somewhere. They just need it out. People have been asking for this movie just to come out.
Have they released a new trailer?
No.
So I watched the trailer to Black Widow again just to refresh my memory. You know what? I'm actually quite excited for it.
I agree.
It looks pretty good, and it does talk about. I'm gonna keep it spoiler free relatively, but. The end of Endgame, it talks about that during the trailer. So I think, this is obviously going to set something up. They're not just going to go into her backstory. So,
it'll have some relevance to where we're going. They
do a fantastic job. So, Marvel can do no wrong, to be fair, in terms of films. They've got a pretty good track record. So, I'm excited for it.
Overall, excitement level now. We talked about it before in the first episode. We both said around 6/7. Is it still there? Now that you've seen now that you know it's coming, and now you know there's a set date, and now that you've seen, the original trailer back, is it still at that rate, or are you upping it?
No, I've upped it. I'd probably say a 7 or an 8.
Yeah,
8.
I'd go a solid 7/8 now. I think that's good. The same day that they released the poster for Black Widow, they also released the poster for Loki. they've not really released a trailer. They've not released a trailer for it realistically yet. There is a there's the teaser trailer, but there's not the trailer. Like we had the teaser trailer for Falcon Winter Soldier, then 2 or 3 months later you get like a 2.5 minute, 3 minute one that gets you more pumped up for it. We know the story of Loki. It's set.
Yeah, I mean, in that
early doors in the MCU
that trailer. I mean, I watched that yesterday as well, and to be fair, it doesn't really tell you a lot of what to expect.
Yeah.
However, given the fact that it's Tom Hiddleston and he's Loki, he's a fantastic actor. Every scene that Loki's in all the Marvel films is fantastic. So I really can't see this
being a disappointment.
Not at all.
Well, the biggest shock to me is, and like I always try to do with things like this, I try to stay relatively spoiler free away from it. I try to, I want to be surprised.
Yeah.
They did a video release of the poster release. So they said Tom Hiddleston talks about, gets you pumped up for this release of the poster. And it wasn't just Tom Hiddleston, it was Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson.
Yeah, I was going to say Owen Wilson.
My man was blown because nice I didn't expect that. I really like Owen Wilson. I think he's great. And you go, wow. He's fantastic. Wow. I really like Owen Wilson.
Most famous.
But this was a shock to me. I wasn't expecting him to be in Loki and for him to be part of the poster release. It says he's going to be a main character in this show, which I'm excited about because I never thought I'd ever see Owen Wilson in the MCU.
I wasn't expecting to see Owen Wilson again.
I mean,
his acting career's he's slowed down a lot. He was everywhere in like 2000s, 2005, but this last 5-10 years he's been pretty quiet. I think the last thing I saw him in was
Zoolander 2. Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing. That's the last time I saw him.
I genuinely have no idea. So
no, I agree.
It's really nice to see him again.
Yeah, when they bring same. I went through that aspect with Jim Carrey. You didn't see him for ages, and then all of a sudden he's the main character in Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah. And I was like, good for him.
Not the main character.
Well, no, but
Sonic is.
Yeah, no, obviously, but he's the main.
He's Eggman.
Yeah, Eggman.
He's the main villain. So
I remember seeing the poster and the trailer and saw Jim Carrey. I was like, good to see him back. Like I've missed seeing him on television.
Yeah, I love Jim
because
Carrey.
him and Owen Wilson are part of that same time frame where they were everywhere.
Absolutely.
And then like everything, there's a new generation that comes through and they become part of everything. But you don't want to forget that previous lot because they were so around it when we were growing up. You love them. You love to see them. Same with like Adam Sandler and Ben Stiller. They're everywhere.
100%.
And all of a sudden they drift out. Adam Sandler's managed to get a huge deal with Netflix. So he gets released like 60 films a year on Netflix. You see a lot of him, which is good because he was always part of what I knew growing up and as a comedic actor.
That being said, seeing a lot of Adam Sandler at the moment isn't necessarily a good thing.
No.
His films and
they're getting worse and worse.
They're getting worse. I mean,
the Netflix deal he signed with them and he got to release. It was something like 6 films in 2 years. There was The Cobbler. Didn't really enjoy. He makes the shoes of people. You put them on and then you become that person.
Did you watch that?
I did. Yeah.
I never saw
it wasn't really that good. Uncut Gems.
Gems.
Fantastic. I really enjoyed that film.
I thought it was really good.
The one where him and Jennifer Aniston was on the boat. I thought that was phenomenal as well.
On the boat.
It was like a crime. Someone gets murdered on a boat and they have to find out who it is. Very murder mystery.
All right.
If you've never seen that,
no, I've not seen
it's Netflix owned as well, obviously. Really, really good. Really enjoyable.
Did he do another one with Drew Barrymore?
Yes.
Or is that an old?
I know.
Is it like blended or something?
Yeah, I think
Or is that new or is that old?
No, that is new.
Right. Okay. I haven't seen that either.
The one with Jennifer Aniston, I'd say watch. Weirdly enough, me and Callie watched this film. A lot of Hollywood acting. Luke Evans from Wales, who plays.
From Wales.
He's Beauty and the Beast. Gaston in Beauty and the Beast.
And
really,
he is in The Hobbit.
Yes.
He plays Bard.
Bard? Yeah, correct. Yeah, Bard. Yeah. He's like really famous. He's in it and you go, good cast. And all of a sudden,
he's a good man.
David Walliams is in it and you go, what? What's David Walliams doing in a Adam Sandler Hollywood blockbuster?
Yeah.
But it worked. It was really good.
Cool.
Like, check it out if you haven't. Really good.
Yeah. But going back, Owen Wilson, it's nice to see the guy.
Yeah, and it gets me kind of like pumped for Loki as well because it's another actor that I really enjoy and you go, good. The cast is getting to where you want to be.
Being a flop at all.
No, exactly.
It's just going to be great. So, they're going to do something with he's talking something about like TV shows. In the trailer to Loki, when he's talking to Owen Wilson, and he's saying like, time passes differently here in the TV show, TV something or other. Do you not pick
No.
No. Anyway, carry on.
I'll be interested to see where we go.
Yeah, I thought maybe it was some.
So Marvel is bringing us some more things, which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
Again, obviously, as always.
Yeah.
Today we're recording on Easter Sunday, and I was trying to I was looking through the internet at things that we could talk about Easter wise, and something unique, something that doesn't seem really to be covered, and I typed in just like Easter fun. I tried to find like Easter like TV shows that we liked, was the Easter episodes, specials, etc. And one thing I came across really ridiculously was a rabbit reality TV show.
What?
And Kit Kat put together a reality TV show focused on 5 rabbits, and they tried to give it the twist and humour of a Love Island / Geordie Shore.
Of course they did.
Outline.
I mean, it's what everyone's been asking for years.
It was a complete shock to me. I don't know if you know who Pete Wicks is.
Yeah.
I think he was in like The Only Way is Essex or something. I don't know really much
that
about
dude
Pete
with
Wicks.
the long hair and the tattoos.
He's the narrator of it.
Right.
So at the point of recording, the show is now over. It was 5 episodes, I think, on YouTube, and it was the rabbit reality show. And the idea is these rabbits competed to become the Easter Bunny, like the king of Easter would win this competition. And basically, I watched episode 1, I think like part of episode 3, and then watched part of the last episode, and it was nuts. It was literally 5 rabbits in like a house. They'd built beds for these rabbits to live on with their pictures of the rabbits above it.
Yeah.
They had their own water bowl with the name on it. They had it was like a reality show. It was like watching Geordie Shore.
It's excellent.
For rabbits, it was excellent.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Excellent.
I just couldn't believe it.
Egg jokes.
Kit Kat said they wanted to make this to make it you don't think about reality. You just jump into the show. You forget about that we're stuck in a pandemic. You forget about we can't do anything.
I think you jump into this TV show and think you've gone mad.
Yeah, and
I was already mad. Now I'm watching a reality show with rabbits.
It's completely ridiculous. So it ran for 5 days, and every day a new episode came out, and then they did a one-off one where they announced the winner.
God, can you imagine the drama?
I know what these rabbits would get up to. Just keep. I mean, I didn't know what to say to it. Like I look at it and go, where have we come in the world that this is now television?
The world's gone mad.
I mean, no TV station would pick this up in the world, but
no,
you can put it on YouTube. But people would watch it. People would think this is good.
How's it doing?
I mean, it got views. I mean, because it's strange. People want to see it, don't they? Because it's unique and different.
Well, I mean, and Kit Kat.
I mean, kids would enjoy it. I get it. Like, I mean, if you put it on the TV show to your 2 sons,
oh God,
they wouldn't really.
Rabbit.
Yeah,
rabbit.
That's it though. But that's it. They'd watch it, or at least just look at the bunnies.
No. I mean, kids TV shows they do very well on YouTube, as we discussed.
Exactly.
They have millions and billions of views. So.
The questions I have when I tell you about it, because obviously you didn't.
Which are many.
Which of it is?
Why?
Quite honestly,
why
would you watch a reality show about rabbits? Realistically, would you?
Realistically, probably not. No, it's not the first thing I would think about watching. No.
Does it interest you when I say there's a TV show about rabbits?
No.
A reality TV show? No, exactly. What animals need a reality TV show?
What animals need a reality
TV show? Or do you think?
TV
Do you think this? Do you think like?
No, that is a question.
Has TV and like YouTube and online like all this kind of crap? Has it got to a point where this is normal now that we think that we should make TV shows about animals? Not like Discovery Channel where you're watching them in the wild. I mean, like making a reality show about do you know what we need? We need 5 goldfish and who's the best goldfish ever. Like, do we need this in life? Is this
5 goldfish compete to be the Kraken?
Exactly. Like, is stuff like this needed?
I don't think it's needed. I don't think it's going to take off. I don't think people want it. I don't think people need it.
Would you watch any reality show about an animal like this? I mean, not like out in the wild. I mean, if you put 5 of the animals together, is there any? Would you watch 5 wolves in a house together?
Well, I would.
I know you like wolves, but would you actually? Like, my favourite animal is the giraffe, but I don't think I'd watch a reality show about giraffes in a house. Like, which one can eat the most trees? Who's the best? Like, I wouldn't.
Who's the best?
I mean, I wouldn't watch anything like that.
No.
I don't even watch reality shows in general. I think the only reality show I really watch is I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, but I don't watch anything like Big Brother or Love Island or anything like that.
No, I mean, I used to
doesn't interest me.
Big Brother.
Just doesn't interest me.
No,
but why would it interest
no.
me about having animals do it? Because they don't even fucking talk.
No, they don't.
I mean, like, there's one where there's a disco ball and the rabbits, they're portraying there's like a rabbit disco, and then a rabbit jumps on another rabbit, and then you get the sound effect.
Oh god!
It's kicking off, and it's like
They're
it's not. The rabbit's just trying to get to his fucking lettuce. Like, it's not kicking off. It's just doing what rabbits do.
Is it pretty raunchy?
No, those rabbits are like they're at it like
good god
rabbits.
Hey.
So overall, out of 10, how does that interest you? Are you going to watch any of it now we've talked about it?
One.
Are you going to watch any? Are you going to watch episode? Now that we spoke about it, are you going to go back and watch any of it?
Maybe I'll put it on. No, I'm not watching it.
Yeah.
No, God, no.
That's what I mean. Like, I literally watched episode 1. Not really, like, flicker through.
Are you going to...
No, I'm a hell.
The episodes that you watched, you're now going to sit down and think, you know what?
I need to digest these
I skipped
properly.
an episode.
Yeah.
I need to go back. And
definitely
really,
not. I only purely skipped over the episodes that I did watch for the purely basis to have something to talk about Easter-wise. I want to keep Easter relevant. I mean, it's not even relevant, really. Next week when this comes out, Easter's already long gone. But for the purpose of today, I thought it'd be nice to talk about it.
Very festive.
It is, yeah. You know, I want to do that. You know, when we do a Christmas episode... I had some eggs
this morning.
Exactly. I had half an egg this morning. Exactly.
Exactly half an egg.
Well,
chocolate egg or?
Chocolate egg.
Okay, cool.
Right. But I really wanted to do this every week, the top 5. And I missed it out on episode 1 because we just kind of like made a absolute menace of what we talked about. We just went on and on and on. And I really like the top 5 because I want people to understand like our interests. And I like to know more about your interests as well, not just, you know, other people to hear it.
Yeah.
Because we have different opinions on things and how we see things. So the top 5 today is the gaming series as we love. Top 5 is the gaming series as we love. And obviously, for it to be classed as a gaming series, it must have more than one game in the series. You can't say... To make it a series. Obviously. Yeah. I just, you know, it's not our favourite games of all time, it's our favourite gaming series of all time. So...
I hate these top 5s.
I hate the top 5s as well because
these are really hard.
You're stuck thinking about the last thing you played.
You pick 5, which obviously they're in the top tier of all your list, and then you're gonna like organize them to be like, yeah, this is obviously better than this one, and it's not necessarily so simple. So I found this quite challenging.
I mean, I said this to you off air: is when we ever do a top 5, the first thing my brain thinks of is the last thing that I played.
Yes.
The last thing I watched, or the last characters that I know.
It's fresh in your mind.
The last gaming series I played was Spider-Man Miles Morales. So automatically my brain was like, put that in the top 5. But then I was like, but there's a lot more. Like,
absolutely.
Why am I going for that? But it's just because my brain... So I had to sit there. I had to literally, like, leave Carly and the dog upstairs and come down because I wanted to be my own peace of mind to think...
In one of yours 2-hour baths.
Yeah. 2-hour baths.
Meditate on them.
And just think, like, what is my top 5 series of all time? Because you start neglecting things that you forget about. That might have been the PS1 days, the PS2...
20 years of
the GameCube days.
catalogue that you've got to sieve through in your brain.
So, we'll start off with my number 5. So, my number 5 is the Lord of the Rings original, like, Two Towers and Return of the King for the PS2.
Did you... Oh, that's a good show.
Because...
Did they do a Fellowship?
They did a Fellowship for the Ring on, I think it was, like, the GameCube and PS2, but it wasn't good.
Did you have a Hobbit? Did you have
the Hobbit, yeah. The Hobbit for the GameCube. And that was a really good game. But I don't class that as, like... If I say Lord of the Rings, I don't mean every Lord of the Rings because it's not the same series. It doesn't continue on. Like, I get it in a sense, like, because GTA doesn't continue on and on, but that's a game series. But, like, when I think of the Lord of the Rings, I think of, you know, the Shadow of Mordor.
Well, it's not necessarily a bad thing because they've done some pretty stellar, like say Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War.
So Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War, I class as its own series.
Yeah.
Right? So when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about the Lord of the Rings, Two Towers and Return of the King series for the PS2. That's number 5 to me. The gameplay was fantastic. You played literally through the films, like from start to finish, like you were watching them. You got to switch between the 3 characters, the main ones, and then, you know, when you did it as the 3, you unlocked Gandalf, and then you could do it as Gandalf, and then when you did the Return of the King, you could start playing as, like, everyone.
Yeah.
And then that was really good, and I'd go back and play it as every character because I wanted to do so.
Yeah.
So that's easily
my favourite one that sticks out to me most is the Return of the King.
Yeah,
God,
100%.
I played that so much.
I know, but I would replay it every time as these characters because I couldn't get enough of the story and I wanted to experience it as everybody.
You can play as Gandalf.
Yeah, exactly. He's a wizard.
Gandalf's awesome.
He's a wizard.
You shall not pass.
So that's my 5. What's your 5th for you?
My number 5, I kept crossing it out and changing it.
Exactly the same.
Because it was really, really hard for me to choose. But in the end, I went with Metal Gear Solid.
A gaming series I've never got into.
Yeah. Metal Gear Solid is a strange one because it originally released for the PS1. And I never had a PS1. Did you have a PS1?
I had a PS1,
Yes. I missed quite a lot of games, to be fair, like Crash and Spyro and things like that. Well, I missed this completely. So I remember I was walking, I was in Asda, and this was back in the day that, which I often think about this, is, back in the day you'd go into game shops and you'd look at games and you'd literally look at the cover, you'd look at the back of it and think, that looks cool, and then you'd buy the game. It doesn't happen much these days. Do you do that?
I don't do it now.
No,
because I watch trailers and read spoiler reviews, gameplays, and think, is this game for me? Because we had a discussion back when we were on holiday together in Cyprus. I really wanted to play No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
And you said to me, wait a couple of weeks. So I want to pre-order it and get it. You said, wait a couple of weeks, watch some gameplay trailers, get the gist of it, because you don't want to waste 50 quid on a new game.
Pre-ordering is almost always a bad idea.
And it came out, and I've not had No Man's Sky yet. I mean, it's still going now, and it won a Game of the Year award this year.
But it released terribly.
Yeah, and that kind of put me off it.
But I think it's in a really good place now. The same way that I think about Cyberpunk. I broke my rule on pre-ordering, and I pre-ordered Cyberpunk, and ultimately I was burned by it again. It was a bad decision. The game wasn't finished, lots of bugs, and it ruined my experience. So pre-ordering is always a bad idea, but going back, so I was walking in Asda, saw this game case. It was for the GameCube. It's called Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, which is a remake of that PS1 game. So that was my first game I had for it, and it really blew my mind. I thought the graphics were incredible. There's all spy and espionage and brilliant characters. It is a very deep game to get into, and political and all that. But it's something that stuck with me for ages. And in that game, there was a character called Sniper Wolf. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and that was the name I chose for when I had Xbox 360. That was my gamer tag. I had Sniper Wolf, and that to this day is a name that I keep using for things. It's my YouTube name and everything. So, Metal Gear Solid, brilliant game. The problem with it, for you if you've not played it before, is that I tried, there was a HD collection that came out, and I bought that to try and reminisce and play the game again, but it doesn't hold up very well. The controls are really bad, and even for someone like me as a fan, I couldn't play it. I was really struggling to play it. I thought, like I said, the controls and everything were just terrible. Back then, that was just what you had, and that's what you was used to. So, either play it or don't. You know what I mean? But these days, they've done amazing things with controls and things like that. So it doesn't hold up very well, which is a shame if you haven't already played it. But yeah, Metal Gear Solid. That's my number 5.
So number 4 for me is the Uncharted series. So the thing is,
a game I've never played.
So the thing is, I had this top 4 in particular. I kept moving in between. Uncharted could have easily been number 1 for me. But it's ended up at number 4 because I'm thinking about, I have to reminisce about every game that I've played in all these series. Because some I've not played for 10 years. Yeah. Some I've not played for 15. And you think, right, I need to think about how much I enjoyed that at that time. Yeah. And would I enjoy it still now? So at this point, Uncharted for me is up there. I didn't play it when it came out originally for the PS3.
Yeah.
I had no interest in playing Uncharted. We talked about Uncharted before on a previous episode where we've called it like the female, it's just the male Lara Croft, etc.
And he's not the male Lara Croft.
No.
Just because he raids tombs.
Just because he's just waiting on it. But in a sense of what she did. But I remember the PS5, the PS4 when I bought it, they did a deal off Amazon where you could get like the Uncharted remastered and first 3 for like $9.99.
Yeah.
And I thought for 10 quid and getting 3 games, I'll get it. because I didn't have many games for the PS4. This was at the release of like the PS4.
Yeah.
And I got it, and I played the first one, and I was blown away. And I couldn't wait to play the second one. Played the second one, blown away. Played the third one, blown away. And then the fourth one had come out pretty much with the PS4 as like a release with the console. Played that, and I just, again, blown away. And I thought, this is an absolute fantastic
series. Blew you away.
And I really wanted to pass it on to like everybody. So currently, one of my friends, mutual friends, Ross, has the first three.
Who's Ross?
Who's Ross?
Ross?
Yeah, we lost him. But he's played, I think, the first two. But you know what? We have our friend Ross. He doesn't complete a game. That's his problem.
Yeah, he
completed the first
attention
two.
Span of a gnat.
Yeah,
not
of me,
not
of
you,
me.
Nat, but...
Who said that? But like, he's completed the first two, and he said himself he really enjoyed it. And he's down. And
how long has he had these games for?
Oh, about 2 years now.
He's such an idiot.
But like, the PS5, you can download like 20 games that come free with it, and Uncharted 4 is one of them. And I'd always say to everyone, play it, but don't play it before you've played the first three.
Yeah.
And Uncharted, PS4 at one point made it a game of its month. It came out for free to download, which is a shame for like someone like yourself who didn't get a chance to hit that freebie. But I'd always say to everyone, play Uncharted.
Yeah.
And it's not just I love the character of Nathan Drake. I love what he's trying to do. I do love the element of it's not what you see him. He's just trying to hunt for some treasure, and then all of a sudden ghouls and ghosts and beasts and mythical creatures are here, and you think this is a plot twist, And the storyline's fantastic. The graphics are fantastic. The
graphics look incredible.
Yeah,
to be fair.
Yeah, and especially with number 4 when it was on this new setup, it is really good. And I mean, some of the gameplay is fantastic. Like, I think it's the beginning of number 2. You have a train that crashes off the side of the mountain. The train's hanging off the edge of the mountain, and Nathan Drake's at the bottom. He has to climb up it. Train, and you're literally feeling that pressure. The game made you feel that way. I'm gonna fall. So, like, for me, I immersed myself in it, and it was one of those games that when I finished number 1, I didn't want to wait. I literally would start number 2, and then I would start number 3, and then I bought number 4 literally straight after 3, and then, played it.
Yeah.
And,
the complaint that I keep hearing about Uncharted is that it's just a film, or you're playing a film almost.
I mean, there's a lot of
just like cutscenes.
Yeah, but it helps paint it helps drive the story along because they do skip from country to country to country.
Yeah,
and you can't just do that by playing. You have to have a cutscene where they're on a plane or a boat or something, and I get it. But there's a lot of gameplay in there. It's like you see a lot of games and you think it's more film aspect than gaming, and you spend more time watching than playing. But this is more playing than watching. It's just there is a lot of watching too. But they want you to be immersive. They want you to enjoy the storyline.
Yeah.
It's not just mission after mission after mission. There's a reason why you are what you do, where you are, and what you're doing. So for me, for Uncharted, it deserves to be there. Play it.
It's a good choice.
Thank you.
So my number 4 is Gears of War.
Mm-hmm.
So I chose Gears of War. So this is a funny one as well, because although this is one of my favourite series of all time, it's not something that I still play. But just because I don't still play the game doesn't sort of lessen what the game is meant to me, or the series is meant to me. So, Gears of War 1 was the first game I ever bought for the Xbox 360. It was the first I believe it was the first online. PlayStation 2 didn't have online. Did it have online?
Not really.
I don't think it did. I think it was the first online experience I ever had. And I played that game for years. It was always something that I would come back to. So I'd be playing Gears of War, just smashing it. And then, another game would come out. I'd play the other game, then go back to Gears of War. Finish that game, go back to Gears of War. That was always like my constant. Did I play Gears of War 1 with you?
Yes, we used to play all the time. That's where we met Ross. That's why I met Ross.
I was wondering if it was Gears 1 or 2.
We played both.
Both.
Yeah.
So and then I've got like so many memories of playing that with my friends, you and Ross, and there's people that I've met on there that I still remember, or like even still remember the gamer tags.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Silly little things like that. There's a guy called Sniper Fox that I met, and I was really good friends with him for a long time. And then it was the first time I got into competitive battles. It was things called game battles back then. So it was in
the website
game battles.
Yeah. I used to do that with FIFA. Yeah.
So and then I was in from clan to clan to clan, and so that was my first introduction to playing a game seriously and getting quite competitive with it. And I think we spoke briefly about. I think I spoke briefly about Gears of War 3 in one of the previous episodes, but that was the first ever, and this has happened twice ever. It's the first ever game that I actually cried. I teared up at. Games for me, as immersive as they are, they don't really produce that sort of emotion from me.
Like TV and film do.
Yeah, and I'm a real big pussy, I'll be honest. I get emotional over all kinds of things, but for games, it's never really happened. Gears of War 3, oh man, spoiler alert, but when Dom died, it really cut deep. And then I didn't think about it at the time, but then I was on YouTube and I was looking back at past cutscenes and things like that. So I went back to Gears of War 2 when Dom finds his wife.
Yeah. And
then that scene made me tear up. I was like, God, So yeah, brilliant series. I had an amazing time playing that online. Something that I'll never forget, and that will always stay with me. So that's my number 4.
My number 3 is Gears of War.
Hey, tell me about it.
So I don't really have to say much, but I agree in the same sense as you. It was my first experience in online gaming. It was my first experience with making new friends and keeping our friendship alive in a sense of
kindling the warm flame of our friendship.
We hung out before work. We got the same lift at work before school. We got the same lift to school.
Yeah.
Then we had our own friends at school, so like separate groups, because we're never in the same class. So
that was in the cool group, and that was in the nerdy, uncool.
Well, yeah, you were.
Way to back me up, man. No, you weren't.
Well, you wouldn't be now.
Super cool.
But that mainly happened because we were not in the same lessons at any point.
Yeah, we'd separate.
But then we'd meet up at the end of school, get the same lift back. We'd hang out all evening, go home at like 9 o'clock, and then play Gears of War together.
Yeah.
And that was like our daily routine for like a year or two at high school. And I would think of that time, and I thought like it was a time where I would rush home to play with my friends. And same with you, another game would come out, you'd play the storyline to that.
We actually did have a lesson together, and it was. Do you remember how we rekindled again at high school? It was in. I'm sure it was in science. We had a science. Was it in year?
Might be 9, yeah.
Year 9, I'm sure, was in science together, and we were literally sat next to each other, and I hadn't spoken to you for years. And then, funnily enough, the thing we ended up bonding over was
Pokemon.
He's looking at me blankly.
Know. WWE.
No,
I don't know.
High School Musical.
Oh gosh, I don't remember that at all. But it makes perfect sense.
Outing him now.
Yeah, well, you're outing yourself for the same.
God, I'm not cool anymore. Yeah, High School Musical.
I mean, like, our friendship has taken dips and turns and whatever, but it's always been really strong. So it doesn't surprise me that we had a couple of years gap, and then you act like we do or we did, and then we were irreplaceable for like every day. Literally, it would be I would come to yours at like 8 o'clock in the morning. We'd hang out for like half an hour, go to school. School would finish. We'd hang out for like 5 or 6 hours after school every day. Then we'd go home and play Xbox together. Like, we were literally inseparable.
Yep.
Not many times we'd ever be apart.
You're going to make me cry, man.
No, man. But it's true, though. That's how we were. So, yeah, that's why Gears of War sticks out to me mainly, is because the online experience, it made me introduce me to new people, a new world that I didn't know existed. Online play was, like, mind-blowing to me. Apart from the fact that if you had terrible internet, it was the worst game ever to play.
And back then, that was like a major...
It was dial-up. It was like dial-up internet. Like, I remember the time, I used to unplug the phone, so if my mum rang me and the phone was plugged in, Gears of War would stop playing. And that's how I knew. Like, I would be I'd run my chaser would just be going on its own for like 10 minutes of like, my mum's ringing me, like, I know she is. So, like, yeah. Unplug that. Definitely for me, that's my 3. So, your 3 now.
My 3 is Mass Effect. A game that you have played?
I have played the first 2.
First 2. It's a good shout, man. I mean, the third one's still pretty good. Not as good as... I think that Mass Effect 2 is one of the best games I've ever played in my life. Fantastic, fantastic game. It's one of the first games that I've played, and even since that, the choices that you make in the game really does have significant consequences for how the game actually goes. You know, the things that the big thing was the dialogue options, and it's not something that I'd been really introduced to before. Like sometimes you maybe get to ask certain questions, but in that game it was really how your character would act. You could be I think it was Renegade and Paragon, which basically means good or bad. Yeah. So you'd make good or bad choices, or say certain things to certain people, and that could actually result in certain people dying. So you'd be having conversations with Rex, I think he's called, the Krogan in the first one, and you'd have to select specific things to say to him that would actually keep him alive, or he'll end up turning and attacking you, and you'd have to kill him. So that sort of gameplay really just like blew my mind. You could create your own character, you had skill trees, and that was all my sort of thing. Yeah. I love that kind of thing, and I love sci-fi, and Mass Effect, brilliant game. The second one, the side characters in that are absolutely fantastic. Usually games that have a lot of side characters you forget about. I played like Fallout, for example. Fallout 4, you'd have like a lot of companions, but I never remember their names. I never really remember their backstories or anything like that. This game did a fantastic job of introducing them, going into their backstories, and you'd bring certain people on your team when you travel to different planets, and it actually made you feel like you wanted to help them, or there'd be certain specific missions for these characters, totally optional, but it made you feel like, I need to go and do that, and so the connection it makes with these characters, fantastic. So brilliant game. Third one, a bit controversial how it ended, because the whole series was about choices, and your choices matter. The third one, in the end, it made your choice irrelevant, not matter so much. It was basically the same cutscene played. You had 3 options at the end. We won't say what they were, but the same cutscene would play. Literally, there was like a green filter over one of them, a red filter over one of them, and a blue filter over the other one, and that was the only difference. So it got a lot of flack for that, but still brilliant game. So that's my number 3.
My number 2, which I think is going to be your number 1.
Number 2. It probably is. Go on.
Legend of Zelda.
Well, I'll have to wait and see, shall we?
So Legend of Zelda to me is probably one of the first ever games I remember playing, ever, realistically, was the Ocarina of Time. Mm-hmm. And still to this day is probably my favourite game of all time, Ocarina of Time.
A good shout.
I play that still. Play it every 2 years.
Yeah, so this in itself brings up another question. So, technically speaking, it isn't the best game of all time.
No.
Because it's not the best graphics of all time.
No, of course.
Things like that. So what really constitutes as the best? I think it is just what it means.
It's personal opinion,
it's just what it means to you at the time. So
to me, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is my favourite game of all time. But it's that first game introduced me to The Legend of Zelda, right? And the series that, and around Link and his travels and etc. So I have...
I'm showing Nat my phone case.
Which is a Legend of Zelda phone case.
Yes, Triforce.
So I have, in my living room, still attached to the TV, the Nintendo 64. The original one that I got when I was 6. With
that belongs in a museum.
With the original Ocarina of Time that I got when I was 6. And I will every 2 years play back through it because I loved it so much.
Good shout.
The best time about it now is... Back then when I played it, I used to have this big-ass 200-page manual that I got from Game Station or whatever it was to try figure out how to get through places, because then there wasn't such thing as YouTube, there wasn't such thing as walkthroughs, and to discover it all for yourself.
I have a very distinct memory, and I don't know if you ever did this, but I think on the back, maybe in these manuals or maybe on the back of one of the game cases or something, there actually used to be hotlines
to ring for help
that you could ring, and I don't know who's on the other end of these, but you'd
some
be like,
nerd.
I'm stuck on the Shadow Temple, and you ring them up, and then they'd be like, oh yeah, just go here and do this and this, and you're like, okay, cool. I remember ringing them up because there was a boulder in a field, and I couldn't figure out how to blow this boulder up. I was like, it's driving me mad. So I phoned them up. I was like, how do you
throw a bomb at it?
How do you blow up this boulder? It turns out you just couldn't. it was like you couldn't blow it with a bomb. It was like a different colour. Usually you could blow the boulders up. It was just one that you couldn't. It's just one of them. And so I remember ringing for funny things like that. It's strange how
it's funny that
the world used to be. But.
So like, for me, you got out of Ocarina of Time. I enjoyed Majora's Mask. I enjoyed the Wind Waker, and then they remade Ocarina of Time for the GameCube, and that was massive to me. So I played it again, and then the 3DS remade Ocarina of Time. Remake. So I literally bought a 3DS just to play the remake, and I bought a Switch just to play the new Legend of Zeldas, and fantastic. Like they never seem to disappoint. Yeah. They never seem to disappoint. Like I bought a Switch, played it, finished the game, sold the Switch. That was it for me because there was no other Switch games that interested me. But because I love Legend of Zelda so much, I had to play it. I couldn't miss out. So for me, it's a second. Mainly, it's up in my top 2 because it reminds me of my childhood. And that first game, if you didn't ring up these hotlines or read through this, the game took months to complete. And months. I look back and Spider-Man 2, if I played it in one go, it'd take me half a day.
I'll tell this story because I know my brother's watching. We like you said, we played these games for months and months and months because you wouldn't get anywhere with them, and it was really hard to, these days you'd be like, oh, I'm stuck. Just flick your phone open and get a YouTube video, and there you go. It'll tell you how to do it, or go online. You know what I mean? There was none of that back then. I didn't think we had internet back then. We didn't have internet back then. I remember one of my friends, Nick. He was the first person I ever knew that had internet. And I remember going to his house and like printing off cheats for like GTA and things. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. But yeah, so that game remained unfinished. Memory's a bit sketchy, but I want to say probably years. It felt like years. And then I went back into the game, and it was at Ganon's castle. Oh, yeah. And I was like, why is this so hard? So I went through it again. I ended up getting past the point that we were stuck on, me and my brother. Yeah. And at that point, he comes waltzing in, and he's like, oh, you got past it. I was like, yeah. And then he just took the controller and finished the game. I was like, you son of a bitch.
Classic Matt.
Classic Matt. Because he was always player 1 and I was always player 2. He was Mario.
Still is now.
I was Luigi. Or Toad.
Peach.
Mario Kart. So he always took the glory for that, and I've never forgiven him for it.
Number 2 then for you.
So, I'll just say, okay, we'll get onto it, shall we? So number 2 for me is Elder Scrolls. Again,
another game I couldn't really get into.
You couldn't get into it?
No.
Oh, man.
I played it for hours and hours, but at the end of it, I felt like, for me personally, I'd wasted my time.
Yeah. So, for me, the first one I played, and it isn't the first in the series by any means, and the reason I haven't gone back to play the other games like Morrowind and things like that is just, I think if I was going to play one of them, it would be Morrowind, but when you're going further back than that, it really is dated. And I don't think it would be for me. So the first one I played was Oblivion, and man, I spent hours and hours and hours and hours playing that game. Absolutely fantastic. Again, one of the first games I'd played that had like an open world to it, and I mean a really open world. Fantasy setting. You could choose who you wanted to be, weapons you wanted to use, magic, swords, things like that. There was certain factions that you could join. One to this day that I think is the best faction is called the Dark Brotherhood. Brilliant. And then obviously Skyrim came out, and then Skyrim came out again and again and again and again and again and again. I think they've released that game about 5 times. I want to say about 5 times, for different consoles and remasters or whatever. But yeah, again, Skyrim, absolutely fantastic game. For all the same reasons. You could really be who you wanted to be. I do have certain issues that I think that would make the game a lot better, and I don't necessarily like. And me saying this doesn't make any sense anyway, because like we're talking about Zelda, and Link doesn't have a voice, but no. I wish my character had a voice. Yeah, I wish I could ask certain questions, and really be the person that you want to be. But yeah, Elder Scrolls for me, absolutely fantastic game. They did a really good job with that. So and they released a trailer, little teaser for the new one. Unfortunately, the new one's most likely going to come out for Xbox because Microsoft now own Bethesda.
Yeah.
And I don't have an Xbox anymore.
Nope.
So I hope they're going to release on all platforms, but I feel like it's going to be Xbox exclusive from now on, which is a shame. I might just have to buy.
Like I did for the Switch.
Yeah, absolutely. Just for that game. But yeah, Elder Scrolls is probably my number 2. But, what I will say is, you can catch me on any day and this list will be
different. Yeah, I agree.
In
I completely
orders,
agree. So my number 1, and the more I think about it, the more I think, like, is it really my number 1? But it is in a sense. It's The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Which, to you, I don't think there'd be many people out there would have this as their number 1 gaming series of all time.
I don't know.
But I think it's just because of how it's made me feel.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a big lover of post-apocalyptic worlds. I love zombies. I love things like that. And I love storylines from within that. I like it all so much. I don't really have to say much about Last of Us because I covered it a lot in episode 2 when we talked about the TV show.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it just is. I think it's more the storyline. I think the more it made me feel immersed, the more it affected me when certain things happened. Like, 1 made me cry right at the end. Of the first one.
Yeah.
And 2 made me really angry at points, and then really happy, and really sad, and there's not many games that make me feel like that. Like an emotional scene can happen in a game, and I'd be like, oh, cool, and I carry on playing. Yeah, but like it's the only game out of all of these 5. Like you felt with Gears of War. It's the only game series out of the 5 that I mentioned that I felt like not a part of it, but like I could feel that emotion that scene made you want to feel. And I've only ever felt like that normally in films and TV.
Absolutely.
But that game twisted me, it drew me, it made me upset, it made me angry, it made me happy. So realistically, because it's made me go through all these different emotions more than any of the ones in this series have done,
Last of Us 2
it's my number 1.
Quite controversial.
Yeah, exactly. But
for me, I actually, this is obviously a very unpopular opinion, I think the second one was better than the first one.
A lot of people have said the exact same, but
really?
For me, it's not.
Really?
Yeah.
You'd
be surprised.
Is how much people hate that game.
The voice of the people say 1's better than 2.
Yeah.
But the minority that don't really broadcast about it, but the critics, the people who write and whose their job is to be impartial and act like the game is completely new and forget about what you know.
Yeah.
A lot say the second is better than the first.
Well, fair play, man. But yeah, it is a great series. I think the only thing that spoiled the first one with me is purely hype. Before going into it, I didn't get it as soon as it was released. You actually let me borrow it.
Yeah.
I think you actually gave me.
I gave you the PlayStation. I went on holiday for a week, and I gave you the PlayStation and the game. Yeah.
But the hype was massive. Everyone was saying this is the most amazing game ever. The problem with hype is it really sets your expectations
too high
through the roof, and mine really were. And it isn't to say that it wasn't a good game. It was a great game, but especially when it ended, I was just left thinking, "Oh, is that it?" Like I thought there's going to be some climax, and they just sort of like rode off into
sunset.
Next. Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, okay." I was convinced Joel was going to die in that game, or Ellie.
I was convinced Ellie was going to die. Yeah,
I thought someone was,
but I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad Joel never died.
Yes.
Anyway, my number 1 is Zelda. Oh my god! What? Yeah. Again, not much can be said. The first game I played was Ocarina of Time. All the same again. One of the earliest games I remember really immersing myself into and playing a lot of. There was that, GoldenEye.
I love GoldenEye.
Yeah. Mario Kart and Duke Nukem. They were like the 4 games at that time. But Legend of Zelda was the one that stuck with me, and as a franchise, well, Mario Kart has as well, but has really just carried on to this day and has been just as popular. The second game I played was Majora's Mask, which again I thought was people don't think it's. I think people actually think it's a fantastic game as well. Some people think it's better than Ocarina of Time. Again, I think it is a bit controversial. They used a lot of the same assets. In fact, I think the creators of Ocarina of Time only had a certain amount of time to make that game. I don't want to say a number, but maybe it was like 6 months, maybe it was like a year from start to finish. So they used all the same assets from the Ocarina of Time in Majora's Mask. But yeah, fantastic game. And then they played Twilight Princess, brilliant game.
Oh, Twilight Princess, yeah.
Oh man, you could turn into wolf.
Yeah.
I love wolves. So
he does.
Win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the Skyward Sword came out, which was a bit, for me, a bit meh. Then they released, they did remakes for Ocarina of Time. Oh no, Wind Waker. I forgot Wind Waker.
Wind Waker was class.
See, I didn't play Wind Waker originally. I played it when they released the HD. They did a remake of it. And I played that game and I thought, so I started playing it, but because I was so used to Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask graphics, which at the time was like the most realistic thing in the world, and gritty and dark. Then you go to Wind Waker and it's all cartoony and childlike. I was like, what is this bullshit? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I never actually played it. Then I was recommended it years later. He was like, you know what, you really should play this game. Played it and thought, yeah, you know what, it's brilliant.
It's brilliant, yeah.
It's fantastic, and the music in it's amazing. I think one of the best themes is the Dragon Roost Island.
Yeah.
Oh man, great theme. And then going from there, we've had Breath of the Wild, which was awesome. I never actually bought a Switch for it because it came out on the Wii U, believe it or not.
Oh, did it? I can't even remember that, yeah.
So it actually came out as well. So I played it on that. But yeah, absolutely amazing game. Amazing series. They continue to, produce the same quality, and I'm happy with what they've done with Breath of the Wild, because the formula with Zelda has been pretty much the same. You are Link. You're a descendant of Link somewhere, and there's a descendant of Zelda and Ganon and the Triforce, and you've got to go through these temples, and it's the same structure every single time.
But they managed to make it work so differently that it's unique.
Breath of the Wild, they really just opened all that up, and you could do whatever you wanted. And in that game, if you wanted, as soon as you start, you can go to Ganon's castle and fight Ganon straight away. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to go to any of the divine beasts, or you don't have to tackle anything. You can go straight to it. I like that freedom to do what you want to do. So yeah, Breath of the Wild, awesome. Looking forward to Breath of the Wild 2. Zelda, number 1.
Perfect. I think that's the perfect way to end this entire episode, to be fair. I think I'm really happy with how this one's turned out.
Yeah, man.
So, thanks for listening once again. Thank you. Please check us out on all our social media outlets. It's at A Nerd to the Wise and everything. And if you listen to the YouTube, everything will be available down below for you to click. Please keep listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, etc. We're available on all these. Please download. And if you're on Apple Podcasts and listen to that, please leave a review and a 5-star mark. It really helps boost popularity.
Looking at you, Mum.
Yeah, Lynn. Sort it out. Right. So, goodbye from me.
Goodbye.